Welcome everybody to the Majik Parents Podcast. I'm Bradley Morris, one of your hosts. Celeste is not with me today, but she will be joining me for many future episodes. Celeste is my wife. And in the Majik Parents Podcast, we talk about parenting, homesteading, homeschooling, unschooling, and making magical experiences with and for your kids. That's what we do at Majik Kids. So today I have a very special guest, Julietta Skoog. And Julietta is a certified positive discipline trainer with an ED degree in school psychology and a master's degree in school counseling from Seattle University. She's the early years lead and co-founder of Sproutable, which offers grown-ups the tools, systems, and strategies they need to cultivate powerful relationships, teach social emotional skills, and set healthy limits and boundaries with all kids from babies to teens. Her trauma-informed expertise includes early childhood development, autism, learning disabilities, anxiety, behavior disorders, positive discipline, social thinking, and mindfulness. Julietta draws from real-life practical experience working with thousands of students with a variety of needs and her own 3 children when coaching parents, bringing a unique ability to translate research, child development, and positive discipline principles into everyday solutions. Her popular keynote speeches, classes, and workshops have been described as rejuvenating, motivating, and inspiring. So you can find out more about Julietta at besproutable.com. And I'm just excited for this conversation. Julietta, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be part of the Majik family and all the exciting things that are coming out to the world. Thank you for all you do.
It's pretty much a big delight. We're having fun. It's a total accident that we're here. I mean, there are no accidents, but it is an accident. We didn't mean to do what we're doing, and then all of a sudden it happened, and here we are.
Well, and I appreciate that you say it's fun. I mean, that's the way kids learn, right? Is through play, through fun, through relationship. And so when we can start to use fun and use the creativity to engage with our kids, that's when everything just really blossoms, frankly. Yeah.
True story. I mean, one of my mottos for life is have fun. And that came from my dad. Like my entire childhood, anytime I was like going to school, going with friends, playing sports, whatever it was, instead of like, break a leg or like go out and win or like do your best. It was always just like his statement to me every time I was leaving the house was have fun. And I was just like, I really took that to heart. And I've designed my life. I've designed my business, Majik Kids, Majik Media, my lifestyle, how I operate inside my family units, the amount of time and space that my wife and I create for ourselves. It's all based on like, how do we have as much fun as we possibly can? And that's been, a lifelong journey for me. And it's exciting to see the manifestation of that motto coming to fruition with what we're doing at Majik Kids.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a dharma that's like fulfilling your life, right? To say, this is what matters and this is what I'm going to devote my life to. And then all that's coming from that. I love that came from your dad, that you really can anchor that memory and that drive from that. I think that's so powerful. I feel that. Yeah. I was going to say, I feel that too. We were just talking before we hit record just about this idea of that it does take vulnerability to find joy. It takes vulnerability to say, we're going to be happy. We're going to find the fun. We're going to find these ways to play together. We're going to be intentional around that. And I think when we can be vulnerable, and there's a lot of work that people have to do in order to be that way, when we can be vulnerable enough to say this matters, then the pathways open up for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Completely true. My son, creative director of Majik Kids here, Soren, just showed up. Soren, you're in a podcast right now.
Where's that lab?
I don't know, buddy. Papa's doing a podcast right now. I'm doing an interview, okay?
Nice to meet you. Hi,
Can
Soren.
you say hi to Julietta?
Nice to meet you. I'm down in Seattle. This is how we roll. Soren, I hear, are you going to be 7 this summer?
Are you going to be 7 this summer?
Uh-huh.
What's that like?
7's a big deal.
You excited for 7? They call that the Super Sevens. This is the year you get to be a total superhero.
Yeah.
And then the year after that, you'd be the extremely awesome eights.
And I hear that you really help create a lot of these stories, that you're part of that as a creative director. Do you help listen to a lot of stories and come up with good ideas?
What do you help Papa do with Magic Kids?
Make up stories.
What are you most excited about right now with Magic Kids? Adventure Buddies!
Adventure Buddies? What is it?
We're writing a graphic novel series right now that will also be feature-length audio stories. So there'll be like 60 plus minutes per audio story. And it's the story of Soren and I finding a gnome door, and we put it in our forest, and it opens a portal to the magic realm. And we get sucked into the magic realm, and we go on this wild adventure with our friend Nomi to reclaim the mycelium from the Sasquatchians up on the island in the sky to bring the magic back to the human realm.
Okay, well, now you've gotten me. Now that now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, wait. Now I gotta wait. Now I gotta wait for it to come
You gotta
out.
wait.
What happens?
It'll be out by Christmas, hopefully. Yeah. He walked away. He's gone now. But
oh,
yeah.
my Soren. Well, yeah. No, I mean, I think, but that's what it's about, right? When we can actually, and I think that's the gift that children give us, and as parents, also, we do not know that's around the corner. We think. We really have our own mindset, and you really can't understand it until you're actually in it. And I know, especially for myself, I mean, I was a practicing school psychologist, 2 graduate degrees under my belt, tons of experience with kids, but did not have my own yet. Thought I knew everything there was about parenting. And then the moment I had my first colicky baby, I was like, oh my goodness, you're turned totally upside down. And there really is a relearning and a re-parenting for yourself, and that gift that our children give us, whatever children are in our lives, that gives us that opportunity to look at ourselves, look at what we want our future to be, what we want the skills, what we want them to have as skills for them to realize their true potential, their beautiful essence, not for us to mold them into, and then that opportunity for us to take a look at where are we on that pathway? Where are we growing, and re-parenting even that own inner child within ourselves. And when we can tap into that playfulness, that imagination, that spaciousness to find joy together, that's where we can really grow in that way together. It's such a gift that kids give us.
It's amazing. I feel like I'm living in the improv comedy club when I'm parenting him. We're just like creating worlds all the time. He just keeps bringing me from like my task-oriented life with my businesses to like, okay, now we're in a completely other world, and we're going to make this up as we go. And it is really, it's really magical. I'm grateful that I've managed to keep my like inner kid alive throughout my adulthood, to be able to relate and connect with him on that level. Cause I know how fun it is for him to just get silly with Papa Bear.
Totally. Well, and I think it doesn't come naturally for parents. I mean, I have a whole membership group. I've been leading, groups of parents for years and years and years. And a lot of the, the framework of positive discipline is connection and firmness at the same time. It's rooted deeply in Adlerian psychology, which says, all human beings are driven by a need for significance and belonging. Significance meaning I matter, I can contribute, and connection meaning I belong to others. And I think for some parents, that connection piece doesn't necessarily come naturally, especially for young children who are living in a land of imagination. I mean, toddlers are sensory, preschoolers are imagination, and really up until that magic 8, I say magic, looking at your magic sign behind, 8 is really this developmental bridge that then they get a little bit older, but through that sweet time, that first decade, they really are in this magical imagination, creative, sensitive, vulnerable state. And so, and I think that is hard for parents to like tap into that connection, but there are a lot of tools and transition support. Sounds like it comes really intuitively and naturally for you. But I think, for that connection, to be connected to your child, part of it is knowing that they are on another planet. It's like it's going into their world with curiosity to say, what's going on there, and what are you into? And show me or tell me. And then, so then you can say, they'll look at you, and they'll be like, oh, hi, you're here. Welcome to my world. So that
Totally.
we can, connect first. We say connection before connection. Connection is just enough to then say, hi, yeah, come over to my world. We brush our teeth and we go to school, or like
Yes.
we put our pants on. Like, so,
It's almost like having a little buddy who is on a psychedelic journey 24/7. Like they're literally living in a different reality than we are. They're in their imagination. They're like deeply in their emotions. They're creating worlds as they go. And it's so awesome. It's so awesome when we can take a step back and be patient with it. And I mean, Soren, he's 7 this June. And he's at this stage where it's like he's really claiming his sovereignty and like, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want you to tell me to brush my teeth. I'll brush my teeth if I want to brush my teeth. So it's like a new stage that we're growing through of like honoring his desire to feel sovereign in his decisions while still helping him to understand the consequences that exist if he doesn't wash his butt and brush his teeth.
Totally. And this, you said 2 words that I think that I hear a lot, one is the sovereignty and then the other one is consequences. And I think, for intrinsic motivation for kids, and I talk about this a lot, this idea of we might get into a power struggle or this moment where our desires or our perspectives or our like plan, is totally different, totally different. And how, for some parents, it's like, okay, no, I'm the boss. We have to do this because otherwise there will be these consequences. And instead, when we can shift that moment as that opportunity, that low hanging fruit to invite that cooperation, to invite them to think for themselves, that sovereignty that you talk about is the first step. I mean, kids have to have autonomy. They have to feel like they have some control. They have to feel like they're in relationship with you, that connectedness, they're not going to do something with someone they don't feel connected to. Neither would we, right?
Yeah, totally.
And also they have to feel like the competence that they have that skill set and that practice to be able to do it. So I think all of those pieces, matter. That's how they're driven biologically. And I love when parents will say to me, well, I have a really strong-willed child. And I'm like, well, I hope so. I'm concerned when they aren't. Like, every kid is strong-willed. I'm worried they're not strong-willed. I'm worried when they don't stand up for themselves. That means that they actually don't feel safe having a voice, or developmentally, that part is just a little bit behind. So I love it. I mean, they should all have a strong will, and when you can, connect with them, say, I understand. And giving them that autonomy. I start at age 2 by giving them the autonomy of their own routine and what's the plan and what are their responsibilities and what the ordering of things are. So it's not that I'm the boss. We say, let routines be the boss, right? This is just our ritual, our rhythm, our routine, and the things that we need to do, first. But I think the other piece, and this is your life's work really, is how to make those things, those like brushing teeth, going potty, taking a bath, feeding the dog, cleaning up your messes, putting your toys away, all of those things. How do you make those things fun for kids? Yeah. And that it's also not necessarily our job to quote, and I'm doing air quotes here, to make it fun for them so that everything is so smooth and happy all the time. Yeah. But the deeper reasoning is that that's how you connect with them. That's how the lights turn on. That's how their brain grows. And so when we can use those moments for play, then we're in relationship all the time. Then it's not like, quick, let's hurry up these things and then we can have fun by reading a book or listening to one of the Majik audio stories. It's like, all of this part, we're brushing our teeth and having fun. We're singing a song, we're doing the goofy dance, we're seeing, who are we brushing out? Which superhero are we brushing out? Or character I love geeking out. I mean, even though my middle is 11, she just turned 11, but she is still I feel like she is like Soren's like sidekick, because, so imaginative, like always telling stories, always creating stories in imagination or jokes or riddles or what. So when I can engage with her in that level, it's like she sees, she's right there. And then I can say, hey, bud, where are you at with your homework or whatever. She's like, oh, right. I've got to do like piano first. And I'm like, awesome. I want to hear more about this story. Let's go. Like, right. You can engage to then move her along to the next piece. So even, the older kids too, but for the littles, when you can use those moments of natural, just things that need to get done as opportunities to connect, that's really where you can stay in relationship. And then it's not a power struggle. It's just, this is what we do. It's just the culture and the way that we are together.
Yes. Like, last night we had a moment of blow up because we had this plan of like, okay, we're going to go, like, we got this big family hammock out in our yard. Like, we're going to brush our teeth and do the pajamas. And then we're going to all go out with some blankets in the hammock. We're going to do all of our stories in the hammock and we'll watch the stars come out. And so that was kind of the game plan. But then there was like the refusal of the toothbrushing. And it's like, why can't we just brush the teeth so we could go do the thing? And it was just like all the plans just dissolved because in my exhaustion, the fun went out the window of like, let's just do this 60-second job and we'll go do the thing. So yeah, that's real. That's definitely real.
That's real. But for kids, it's always within that, And so I think when we can I think the magical part is that it's just awareness. And I think the big key, and I say this in every single one of my workshops or classes, when we make that list of challenges for kids, every single person's list is the same. Like we don't, just by doing that, like showing up super positive, happy, it doesn't mean that then it dissolves. We all have defiance and picky eating and sibling squabbles and hitting and kicking or tantrums for the early years, or stuff, or hard time getting out of the door, on time. They're going to be there. There's going to be the sassiness. There's going to be the no's. There's going to be the meltdowns because their favorite pajamas are on the wash or whatever. Every universal experience because they're human beings and they're still growing and their brain is still developing and they're still growing their emotional capacity to be able to solve problems and to recognize. So all of that is like comes with the territory. And all of those challenges are those opportunities for us to say, oh, okay, what does this moment need? How can I show up? What is this an opportunity to practice? What am I modeling? How can I connect in this moment too? So it's always going to go side. There are many times where it's going to go sideways. It doesn't mean that it's that it smooths everything over.
Yeah, we just we ended up having the blow up and then took 5 minutes of space, came back together, talked through it, talked about everybody shared their feelings and what their experience was. And then we dissolved it and carried on with a beautiful night of reading stories. And it was just carry on.
And I think when there is that acceptance and that awareness on a grown-up's part, just pay attention to any ego that's coming up or just noticing why, just with curiosity and lightness, wow, why am I getting really triggered by this right now? Or what is that part that's coming up in me? Holding that space with curiosity allows us to then soften into a response instead of reactivity, just to meet what's coming up and meet it with that, we say solution focus. So instead of consequences, we're like, what's a solution here? And solutions are related. They're reasonable. They're respectful. They're helpful. And so moving into okay, here's where we are. It is what it is. No blame or shame, but just now moving forward, what are we going to do differently? And I do think for a really underutilized tool for parents is that idea of role plays and do-overs and try again, because they do need that. They are still practicing. And so sometimes we talk a lot, but we don't actually get that repair physically to go back to that scene of the crime when things went sideways and there was the meltdown and there was the freak out. I had it too last night when my 5-year-old dumped half the salad on the ground and then told her grandmother to clean it up. So there was when things go sideways, it's it really is a chance for all of us who are imperfect, because every single human being is, to say, hey, that went sideways. What part do you take responsibility? Here's what I take responsibility for. What is the, what are we supposed to do? Then let's have that redo that heals all of us. We grow in evolution and relationship with that.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, move on and enjoy the night. I think so many families at that point, they're like, well, now the night's ruined. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. We're all going to, like go. Yeah. So, but to be able to say, yeah, let's move on. We're all learning. We're still practicing.
Yeah.
I love you no matter what,
Yeah, exactly. This is a great segue into positive discipline. So what is positive discipline?
Yeah. So positive discipline is under this umbrella that we're all hearing, a lot about. I think it's this whole movement. Positive parenting, conscious parenting, positive discipline is really a movement away from the way that many of our generation or prior generations were raised, which is through punishment, threat, control, fear, bribe, reward, neglect. So it really is just about intentional parenting. I mean, I think the positive part of it really means like for me, positive discipline is a set of books. It's a classes, workshops, a foundation created by Jane Nelson and Lynn Lott and many other positive discipline authors. So they really are specific books. But as I said earlier, it is deeply rooted in Adlerian psychology. So Alfred Adler, Rudolf Dreikurs, the whole psychological movement that was very radical at the time, which said that behavior is purposeful. There is a need for human dignity, for equity. And actually Adler really was the champion against child labor in the Chicago factories. He emigrated to the United States and was a huge advocate for children's rights, basically, and that they also deserved dignity and respect. And this was so radical at the turn of the century,
So crazy.
So in this way, it's like that true human spirit that we are all worthy of dignity and respect, and that we are all driven by that need for significance and belonging. So I matter, I can contribute, and I'm connected to others. So positive discipline as a parenting framework is our set of tools that are mutually respectful. When the challenges arise, they are meant to teach social and life skills. It is a response. So discipline actually is the Latin root disciplinare, which means to teach. It means that we're teachers and leaders. We're not micromanagers. We're not middle managers, nagging our kids to just do stuff or to be our own little mini me's and make us look good. It is really this true consciousness that they're their own human spirits. They're their own people. They're not our minis,
Yeah.
And so with these tools and responses that are effective and respectful, we are inviting them to discover how capable they are. We are teaching social and life skills. They are kind and firm at the same time, because we know that with firmness, it's not mean, but it is safe. That kids need to know what is supposed to be happening. What are the limits? What are the healthy boundaries?
Yeah.
What are the social norms? What's our culture here? So It's within that place that it's connected and firm at the same time. And I say that they actually say kind and firm, and I say connection, because I don't know if in Canada, but I know at least on the West Coast in the United States, people are too nice. It's just like, I'm just going to be really nice. I'm just going to be their friend. I'm just going to be really nice. And that's doesn't feel safe for kids always when we lean into that permissive parenting part.
Yeah.
And so when we think about those truly long-term life skills that we're in it for, it moves us away from just short-term stopping behavior. And the positive part is that idea of, what is the long-term impact here? It's not just short-term, great, I'm going to give them a lollipop so they stop having a tantrum and I can leave the park right now. It's like, what are we actually teaching in this moment? Which is emotional regulation, delay of gratification, social skills, problem solving, critical thinking skills, communication, like all these bigger things that in that moment when we can be intentional, then we can actually offer these life skills. So that's what positive discipline is in a nutshell. Yeah.
I love that. I haven't heard it described in that way. And I think it's such an important piece for helping kids develop, giving Soren chores and him being responsible for cleaning his body and brushing his teeth. And he's like, I don't want to do it. And we're like, we can't do this for you anymore. This is your time to do this. If we did everything for you, then you're going to grow up to be a human who is completely dependent on everybody else. And you won't have the life skills necessary to live a great life. And So these little pieces, like, we'll be here and we'll help you, we'll support you, we'll cheer you on, we'll hang with you while you're learning these things. But you know, there's certain chapters in your life you have to then take the reins and be the one who's doing it.
And you are capable. And that is, to me, like, I geek out on how much I love this in practice. Like, I have my own little human lab here with my own 3 kids, and my husband's a teacher too. So he's, you know, has all of his students that he's doing it with. So we're definitely like immersed. We're swimming in the water for sure in our little fishbowl.
That's cool.
You know, at different ages and stages, like, it really looks like different things. But when that message is, you are capable, you know, and it is your body and your life in these little ways, then it really does grow into the way that they carry themselves, you know, up to even last night with my 14-year-old, where she's like, I don't know whether I'm going to try out for this one or this one in high school. You know, do I do this or do I do this? And I'm like, oh my God, like, just holding that space with her, using the same tools that I do with a toddler. Curiosity, connection, control, you know, choice, like the capability of just being like this, and the empathy, you know, and the validation, like, wow, that is really hard. What is your plan? Tell me more about this one. Tell me more about this one. What does your body feel when I ask about these certain things, you know? And then just saying straight up, gosh, you know, being a teenager is all about practicing decision-making skills. Like, I trust that you're going to make the right decision for yourself, you know, and giving them, and I can do that, you know, for the 14-year-old, because we've been doing that since she was a toddler. And so in these small ways of giving them autonomy early on and not being so controlling, but saying, and then I love that you talked about these little, you know, we're going to be there, we're going to support you. And that's where positive discipline also comes in for me, that we have tools like, we've got our visual routine chart. We've got a spin the wheel that's super fun, that has all these different contributions. And so after dinner, my kids are like, all right, let's spin the wheel. What'd you get? I got laundry. I got vacuum. I got, you know, dishes. And then it's like this rhythm. Everyone's kind of rolling with it. And it's what do. There's no like, I don't want to. It's like, no, this is what we do. Yeah. And we're fun, and we've got music, and we're connecting. And if there is a little bit of like, oh, I'm so tired, you know, then there's the connection part. Totally. What a big day. You know, we're not like, well, you know, you better be happy, or well, at least you didn't have a big day as I did, or
pull up your bootstraps.
Yeah, no, it's just like, yeah, do big day, and you've got this, and, you know, slicing it thinner if they need to, you know, to help with cleaning up the room or getting that load of laundry in. But sort of starting out, I mean, I think for me, positive discipline is like, it is the water you swim in. It is that language. It's sort of the glue in between of how we show up, what our intention is, what our family's life skills list is, and then trusting our kids, you know, and trusting them and giving them that space to practice. So one of the reasons I love your work, Bradley, is that, you know, one offshoot of this with young children is teaching them emotional regulation. That's like the big thing, right? And everyone's talking about co-regulation, emotional regulation. You know, not nobody, many people are still putting their kids in timeout or on the naughty stool. But a lot of people are seeing this tide shift of how actually harmful and damaging that is to brain development, to relationship. And so the work that you do, that how I use it is to really to create this sweet space every day as part of our routine, that we get to co-regulate in that moment through these meditations and stories, and taking those deep breaths, and being creative and sweet, and creating that space to talk about any problems that happened and working them through, so that it's really normal to be talking about feelings and emotions and accepting that, and building these coping skills for them later independently to say, my lid is starting to flip, or I'm feeling stressed. I'm going to listen to a guided meditation. I'm going to go on a walk and listen to a story. I'm going to, you know, all of these healthy coping skills later, they've got to practice now as young kids.
That's right. That's where it really begins. You know, a lot of the time I question like how much of how we live, my wife and I, and the values that we try to share with Soren through the stories we're doing on Magic Kids, through our ways of life, etc. And I wonder, like, is it sinking in? And then we'll like overhear him playing with his friends, and he would be like riffing on these incredible wisdom bombs with his buddies, like coaching them. I'm just like, this is so cool to see it in a 6-year-old. And, we're obviously going to stay on this track. Like, what kind of adult that's going to help him become? Because I didn't discover this stuff till my 20s, till really when I turned 21, 22 and started this journey. So it's amazing, for somebody to come into the world with these positive values ingrained at an early age and these foundational practices of meditation and breathing and gratitude and positive psychology, like all these little pieces that just we had to figure out as adults, most of us.
Yeah. And the beauty and the ripple effect that really is, we're changing the neural patterns. I mean, that also, so for Soren's generation of these kids, and I would love to always see like in my schools, my kindergartner all the way then through 5th and 6th grade, even watching their arc over 7 years and going on. And then now seeing my students who are now in high school and, all of these things, you see this it's literally changes their trajectory. And so therefore an entire generation, because it's changing their prefrontal cortex, their limbic region, their whole nervous system. And they're going to be our future leaders too. I'm excited. Right. I'm so hopeful for our future, honestly.
Yeah, kids are really bright. They're really lit up, and with the right environment supporting them, it's amazing. It's a totally different breed of human that's coming in right now. It's amazing because the tools and the awareness is there now of like what it takes to raise somebody powerfully. I really love that. I appreciate everything that you've shared here and just the way you're approaching parenting and raising kids. I guess the one question that I'll end with is, we're talking about like rhythms and routines in the family. And I feel like that's a really important thing for the family to feel like a team. I loved what you shared about like the wheel and getting everybody involved. For a family that is used to, maybe it's a single mom or it's parents that they just kind of do everything and their kids are just kind of there, and the kids are just like eat dinner, leave their plates, leave the table, and then go back to their thing. How can parents integrate a new rhythm like this, like the ones you're talking about, starting from scratch, where it's like they don't have that, but they love listening to what you're sharing and what I've shared today. And like, I would love that for my family. Like, what is a starting point to begin to create? Yeah.
What's the first step? Yeah. Well, first of all, come to Sproutable, besproutable.com. And I think when this podcast goes out, I think I'm going to still have this free download for you. So if you go to besproutable.com/motivate, I have a whole free guide that's a download that has a script. It has a little bit of the information behind it that can start to build these very first steps to grow this intrinsic motivation in kids. So to shift them away from making them do well to having them want to. So that is definitely a first step. I also really love, first of all, actually two things. So maybe not first of all, maybe there's two. Second of all, I get so excited about this stuff. Number one is family meetings. There is a really you can just start there. And I have a family meetings free blog on our Sproutable website. So if you just type in the search bar family meetings, I have a whole write-up for how to start those. And they are a really powerful way to begin just gathering and saying, let's start something different. And this is what I was going to say, second of all, is that we do not give kids enough credit. We think, well, we've been doing things a certain way, or they're never going to go for that. And guess what? They are. They love change. They love new things. They love when you're like, hey, I've got this new idea. We're going to be included. Guess what? Let's do this together. Like, just try it. I think some of the resistance that parents have, often the things that they say in their kids that they drive them crazy, is you. You are the one. You are the one that's like resistant or rigid or a little, inflexible, or don't want to try new things, or not willing to actually put in some extra effort. Like, start with yourself. Say, hey, I'm excited to change things up around here. Like I also think this is my one trick. No matter how old your kids are, you can always say, hey, well, now that you're almost 9, or now that you're 10, or now that you're starting 4th grade, use any kind of a marker developmentally to be like, new thing,
Yeah. Now we get to do this.
Yeah.
This
like
is the new stage of your life.
New stage. Like I just had a client that I was coaching. I do private coaching also. And her kiddo is just finishing 3rd grade, 9, starting to have some anxiety and some issues around math. And so we came up with a whole plan of just doing these little daily brain boosts and practice. And she was like, how do I even like address that? And I'm like, hey, just say, now that you're 9, guess what we get to do now? We get to do these brain boosts together. And she was like, awesome. Had so much fun with it. Was excited, made a whole kitty cat theme around it. And so I think, give your kids some credit, and just like when you come in modeling that connection and excitement and start small, then kids will get on board. So and come to my website. I'll help you. Yeah.
I love it. That was perfect entryway. And we'll have all these links inside the show notes for this particular episode. So you can just click straight to these pages for the mentorship and for all the other resources that have been spoken about. Julietta, thank you so much. Thanks for your enthusiasm. Thanks for the work that you're doing with families, with parents. It's such important stuff. I mean, like having a strong, cohesive, flowing family unit is such a beautiful way to bring positive change to the world. It really does start with the family unit, and you're doing great work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bradley. Give Soren a high five for me.
I will. And stay tuned for Adventure Buddies coming to your audio ears, hopefully by the end of the year. It's a big production. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there. Be sure to check out all of the Majik Kids audio stories, music and meditations, and learning activities at the Majik Kids app. You can subscribe for free today. Bam.